Hello there, this is Daniele from Toolshelves, and in this video we're going to have a look at the new animation retargeting system. Basically, for using the new retargeting, you will have to create a new characterization file. A characterization consists of tagging the joints of a skeleton by type. Then also you have subtype, position, and so on, and also posing the rig in a reference pose. For tagging the joints, you will use a UI, which is actually inside the rig animation exporter in the character tab. And then you will have to select the joints and then perform some actions in this UI. Before we proceed, there are a few things that you should know. So the first thing to know is that you always have to start from the scene that you use for exporting your agent types, so the skeleton and the skin geometry. Then also you have to make sure that the joints, they are basically in a pose that is pretty much similar between the agent types that you wish to retarget. So for instance, here I have the man that is already in T-pose, and for this video I'm going to use characters in T-pose. But for instance, if you have a character which is in A-pose, like for instance, if I have these two, sorry, wrong joint, that one and that one, like this. So if you had your character like this, but your source character, so the character with your source animation was in T-pose, like this, you have to make sure that basically the pose of the character that you wish to retarget has a pose that is pretty similar, at least, to your original character. So for instance, I'm gonna just bring it back to the T-pose here. So again, if you have a character in A pose, just to make sure it's in T pose, but the same thing also applies to fingers. So if you have a character with the fingers which are spread like this one a little, and your retargeting character has the fingers that are much closer, it's best to to separate them. You have to do this in the scene that you are going to use for exporting the characterization file. Just because we exports the reference pose into the characterization file itself, so there's no need to do this actually in the agent type scene. You can actually do this just later when you export the characterization file. Another thing to know is that if you don't basically include a joint into a chain, like we'll do later, those joints will actually be ignored by the retargeting process. So if you wish, for instance, to have the fingers to be retargeted, just make sure that they're belonging to a chain. So yeah, now we can start. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to select the root joint. As soon as you select the root joint, that joint is going to be tagged as root, as you can see here. Down here you see we have this inspector where basically you can define the type. So at the moment that is root, the subtype, which is just valid for limb and effectors. And then you have to specify if your chain is in center, so it would be actually, like spine is center, root is center, of course. Then if it's top or bottom, like so the arms will be on top, the legs will be bottom, and then the depth. This is like an extra control if you need that. And also you can provide an index. So for instance, let's actually talk about a case where basically you have a character with 2 left arms and 2 right arms, right? But your source character has just one arm, so 1 left arm and 1 right arm. In that case, basically, if you tag the arms, they will have the same tags, but they will have a different index in your character with 4 arms. When the retargeting process will be applied, if a matching chain with the index 1 basically is not found, Atoms then will try to retarget the chain with the previous index, so it will be index 0. Then if it finds one, then it will apply the retargeting from that chain. So okay, so after we have done the root, we can start with the spine. We can do plus, that is tag the spine, because the first thing that the subsequent chains that you add, they're all tagged as spine. So the first one is fine. So we say horizontal and all center is fine. Then we're gonna tag the shoulder and the right shoulder as clavicles. So like that, I'm gonna say they're clavicles. Actually, sorry, my bad. You shouldn't do this. You actually have to select them one by one. So left, vertical is gonna be top, depth is okay like that, and right shoulder, clavicle, right top. And so these are the clavicles. Then you can do the arms like this. Click plus, and then basically this is create. I'm gonna say this is a limb, this is an arm. The horizontal is that is the right arm, and then it's top. So one thing to know is this. So for the root and effector, we only transfer the rotation between the source clip and the agents, and the agents that you are retargeting. But basically, if you have other chains like, for instance, limb, clavicle, and so on, so limb, spine, and so on, Atoms will do something different. So if you have one or two joints in that chain, only the rotation will be transferred again. But if you have more than 3 joints, then we'll start trying to like 3 or more joints. What we'll do is like Atoms will try to apply an IK algorithm to retarget. So of course, if you have more than 3 joints, the computation is even more expensive, but that's basically how it works. That's how it works. So for this reason, if for instance you have roll joints like this one, you have to make sure they are not actually in this chain, just because these joints will be used during the IK, and we would have like results that are not really what we expect. So I'm gonna just remove those two, and basically this is my arm now, my right arm. So that's tagged already correctly. You also see here this green button here. This shows you the sanity check. So if this chain is actually was actually selected properly, was actually created properly. So, for instance, if I take this joint and I move it up, Atoms like this UI tells you, look, we have an invalid hierarchy of joints, and this is because the right hand, of course, has to be just after the forearm. So this is actually what this green button here means. You can of course also add joints from here with the plus and remove them with the minus, as we just did. And what you do is like you will actually keep going and tag all the joints that you want basically to have in your retargeting. Once you're done and click export, this will actually export the file in a characterization file, and then you will also be able to reload it afterwards. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reload it. And so this is basically a previous export that we have done. So we can just check quickly what we've done here already. So we have the limb leg. So here we have a leg with these 3 joints, and they are like this, of course, the left, bottom. This is the other leg, so the right leg. Then we have the foot, which is also a limb. So it's just the subtype is foot, as you can see there. And we have 3 joints here, so this is another IK. The same thing for the right foot. Then we have also the neck and the head, which are separate subtypes. And these are actually, again, treated as limbs, although they have just 2 joints, so these will actually just transfer the rotation in this case. But if you, of course, have more than 2 neck joints, and then they are in the chain, you would want them as a limb, so you can actually use an IK. Then we have the clavicle again, so the 2 shoulders. We have the arms as we did them before, and then we have all the effectors for the fingers. So we use effectors just because they're less expensive than using the IK. And with this, basically, you get like a standard retargeting of the just the transfer rotation between these basically the fingers of the source character to the destination character. So once you're done, you just say export. So just gonna write it and just gonna click export. Yes. And the file was exported successfully. So now basically I'm in a new scene. I'm going to do Atoms, open the Atoms UI. Then I'm going to set the character path for the man that I just exported, like that. I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna create a new agent type. I've done the same with a Mixamo character that I've downloaded, so I'm gonna use the Mixamo skin like that. That's the character. Remove the ragdoll, the geo, the character path. That. So now both characters, they have the characterization. I'm gonna apply the local state machine to this character. So basically I'm telling to this character to use the clips that are inside the main state machine. Another very important thing is that all your clips, they have the compatible agent type set, because otherwise basically yeah, the retargeting would actually be able to work properly. So basically then we are going to create an agent group. I'm going to create a layout with a state machine like that. Then I'm going to create two characters. I'm gonna say this, and let's do this one is the Xamo like that. Skin. Okay, and now if I press play, you see basically already the characters, they are being like that. They're both playing the same total like clips. Of course, they are not matching completely just because we have the start frame is different. Then we can also state machine. We can change the state to 1. That can even jog. So on. So, and basically this is how the new retargeting works. So it's pretty simple, as long as you nail the characterization file, you'll get like proper retargeting. This is all for this video. Thanks for watching.